It's not being recorded, is it? Oh, it is being recorded.
It is being recorded.
Yeah, record this. Fuck you, Obi-Wan.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris, and we are here to talk about entertainment, talk about culture, talk about whatever the hell we feel like. And of course, I am here. It would not be a podcast without my wonderful co-host and friends. We're going to start with the man in charge behind the scenes. It's Mike. How are you doing, Mike? You're back. You weren't here last week.
No, I'm back. Great show last week, everyone.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Listen,
That's
I
right.
do have a couple production notes for the podcast I'd like to discuss. Do we have 2 hours so I can go over some stuff? Or?
Oh, we definitely have 2 hours. Just
Okay.
we'll have the Snyder version of the podcast where you can watch the production note scenes at the end.
Yeah, there you go.
Of course, it is not a show without Keith, who was also not here last week.
Yeah, sorry I missed it, but I hear it was a pretty kick-ass show though.
That's what I keep saying.
Yeah. Well, how we doing, guys? Smash that like button. Smash it now.
And the person who was here last week and did do her homework last week, and I believe did her homework this week, it is Brooksy. How you doing, Brooksy?
Doing great, feeling good. You're welcome for holding the podcast down last week, Mike.
Great
That's
job.
why it was
You did a
good.
great job, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You did.
And number two, it's our Riker. It's James. How you doing, James?
99.9% attendance. Let's go. Let us pray.
Let's pray. Oh no, I'm not going back to that school again.
That was a shout out to Earl Simmons, aka Darkman X.
All right, well, let's go right into it. I'm going to let you take right over. I'm going to talk about the passing of one DMX. Go for it.
Yeah,
James.
it's it's hard hitting. Definitely a tragedy. Because we on this pod we talked about him briefly, not knowing the condition and whether he'd be able to pull out or not. We were hopeful, cautiously optimistic, but in situations where someone's considered to be somewhat brain dead, the outcome doesn't look too promising. And then to realize between that pod and now he actually did pass away, I think it hit a lot of people in the community differently. It hit definitely the hip hop community. It hit people in the mainstream that knew of DMX through his art and his movies. And I almost feel terrible that we lambasted his last movie that he was able to put. Artists got to eat. It is what it is. So no regrets on that, but I feel a little tough about that. And it's sad. It's sad that a guy like that who was 50, I'm about to turn 45 next month. It's 5 years for me. Knowing that, life is, it is what it is. Life's a bitch. So yeah, there's not really much more that I can say other than the fact that I really appreciated him as an artist. I appreciated his impact to the hip hop community. As an African American man in America, I definitely appreciated his iconic imagery for a lot of things. And it's terrible that we appreciate, and this is like the last couple of years, I've noticed this trend in us as Americans. We lose these artists that we don't really focus on until they're passing. And I posted something on my personal Insta, not necessarily Heroes Peak, Marvin Gaye being a good echo of DMX's troubles with drugs and other things. And, no one was there for him to support him in his last couple of months and years. Then they passed. Then all of a sudden, we all come out in arms and roses and all this stuff. And it's sad that it's like a cycle. Like we've always seemed to do it as Americans, with all of our entertainers and musicians and artists. We wait until they're gone, then to kind of genuflect on their image. It's like, oh man, remember what blah, 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 blah. I'm like, it's too late. Like, I think it's America. It's something that's us, innate in us as Americans, I guess. I don't know, but I don't want to beat it to the bush. I think it's definitely sad that he passed the way he passed. And I hope better things to come to his family and his close friends.
Okay. Brooksy, you had a lot to say last week. I just want to know if you have anything new we want to add, or
Nothing new. I think I rewatched a little bit of the DMX Snoop versus. I also posted that on my Insta because that really was one of my favorite ones. And I remember like starting to watch it being like, this doesn't make any sense. Snoop DMX. And then like 2 songs into it, I was like, this is hands down my favorite verses so far and still remains one of my favorite verses.
And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like it wasn't really the verses we were thinking of, right? It was more
Right.
like them just hanging out. That's what I really liked about it. It was just them hanging out, having a good time, you know?
Yeah.
So it was
And
nice to
I
see.
felt like it was so good to see. It was so hopeful to see him perform. At the end, I was like, he looks a little winded, but like he's 50, you know, so I would probably be a little
Hey.
but also the other thing that I really loved about it was like how Snoop really just gave him his respect. Like so much of that was about Snoop giving DMX his respect. And I feel like you could see how much that really touched DMX. And that also to me was like one of the best parts of that. And it was just, I don't know, it was so, like I said, it was so great to see. And that just makes it kind of even more sad that, you know, this tragedy happened and he passed away. Cause I just felt like he had more to give.
Yeah.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to add is that he helped bring hip hop into the 21st century, you know, with his music. So it's just, you can, like a song will come on and then you'll remember, hey, I remember where I was when I first heard this, or, you know, I was jamming to this one or that one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. DMX
a lot of good
played,
memories with his music. So
I think he played a like really big part of my college experience for sure.
Yeah, he was the MJ from 97 to 99 in hip hop. Like those
Yeah.
3 years, like double albums dropped platinum both.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keith, last word.
Me, you guys pretty much covered it all, but like, I don't know, like, I look at, it's not like his body of work, like, oh, like he was putting out like these positive messages of what you call like, so I don't want to talk about his work as if it was that, like if it was like he was some Mother Teresa-esque figure.
No.
I really kind of like, I think his story is way more important. Like, I feel like what he represents is a little bit more important, and there's victory in it, and there's hope in it. Like, his beginnings were horrible. He had horrible beginnings. Like, his mom at 6 years old, his mom broke his front teeth out with a broomstick. Like he foster homes, crack houses, he's inspirational to a group of people that don't have a voice. Like, I don't know if you could even put a value on that. I kind of like, I've been battling myself about like, oh, like how he went out. Like, did the demons really, like, did the demons win? Did the demons win? Is that what this meant? And I don't think so. Like, I think that I've come to the realization that, you know what? The people that he's shown that you can be broken, you can be cracked, and you can still rise. Like, you can still, the art in you, the art of you can still come out. Like, you can still and be imperfect and still be on top of the world. Like, I think that message is not one that you can put a value on. And I think like that's what, without being able to articulate it, like why so many cats in the hood are down about it. But
well, I mean, he didn't go out early. I mean, we think about the number of artists who go out in their 20s,
he went out
early
early.
20s.
50 is young.
Yeah,
50
but
is young.
I mean,
Let's
he
not
was
call
able
it-
to
it's
have a
tragedy.
career and to have a life, and it is sad. 50 is too
That's
soon.
much too soon.
Much too
It's a
soon.
tragedy. If you go out before you can wipe your like, if you go out and you can still wipe your own ass, like it's a tragedy.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
It's a tragedy. Like it's. I mean, I'm not saying it always has to be malicious intent or anything like that, but it's like yeah, like I still have more movement to move.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, what makes it even a double tragedy is because, like Brooks was saying, that he just did the verses a couple months ago, and from what I was reading since then, was he was already working on an album. Like he already had a video out. Like he was trying to rehash his career to the next, next phase. Whatever now these musicians can do at 50. He can't do the same performances that he did in the late 90s, early 2000s, but he was trying to get his act together and go to the next phase. And to relapse the way he did and ultimately led to his death, it's a tragedy, whether he's 50 or 70. To me, it doesn't matter the age. It matters on how it ended.
Mm.
On the cusp of what could have been his, fourth quarter.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on, and after the break, we're gonna get to our B, C, and D segments. And we'll talk to you guys in a minute. All right. So we're back, and so our next couple of segments. First, me and James are going to do a little anime segment. We're going to hopefully do some more in-depth talk about it in a future episodes where we both actually watch the same thing for once instead of just a bunch of different stuff. Then we're all going to talk Debris, the television show, and finally Thunder Force, the Netflix movie. Okay.
What OKC could have done.
Okay, Thunder Force. All right. So quick anime segment here is let's talk about what you've been watching, James, because I know like you're new to anime. I've been around anime a while, but it's not like my top stuff and thing I watch all the time. So I'm not like my son, who like that's 90% of his intake. So I don't know all the shows or anything.
You and I are similar in that.
Nobody expects me or James to be like ahead of the game with these things. We're probably
not yet.
We're gonna watch some older stuff first. But so James, what have you been watching?
So just to correct you a little bit, is I'm not new to anime. I am resurrected. It's the
resurrected.
genre.
Okay.
I mean,
So you
the
took
guy
a
over
long
there,
hiatus.
podcast member number 4 over there, Free Keith, was the one that first put me on to Ninja Scroll. And I watched that, and then from there, from like Fist of North Star, some of the older 90s version anime. Then I went to college, and then that was the end of that. Recently, because of certain podcast folks that I was following, they start beating my head about My Hero Academia, which is the hottest thing about 3 years ago. So I started watching some of those anime, the season 1, season 2, and I got my son into those shows to the point where he eclipsed me. I stopped watching. We have day jobs and we have family life, and on
they have nothing
weekends
to do. Just
he would binge these shows.
Exist.
Yeah, he would binge these shows, and then it'd be like either Netflix or Funimation, which we another streaming platform that I also purchased. We just feed him all these different, to the point where it's like he's like at his age, he's very astute to a lot of these shows, and he looks at me like, "You still watch My Hero Academia? That's trash." And I'm like,
Wow.
that's like me and Brooks. I first put her up to watching MCU movie, like I don't know, the first Avengers movie, and she goes, "I mean, you still watching MCU? I'm watching Invincible on Amazon or The Boys." And I'm like, "Wow, I created you. Look at you now, Snyderverse fan." So
For the record, I would never watch The Boys. I would watch it. I would never keep watching The Boys because fuck Homelander.
put that on the record. So in order to like get reconnected with Eric and anime, and obviously I know Chris, you were definitely a fan. I had some friends of mine through work that were diehard fans too. I started picking and choosing some of the programs that are hot like Naruto, um, Sword Art Online, Attack of Titans. Those are the ones that I see.
Mhm.
Like, for example, there's a podcaster out there. Not that I'm giving him credit. It doesn't matter. He's got a million followers. RDC World, who does a combination of sports entertainment. This is the guy that had LeBron James retweeting him.
Mm,
And he
big,
also does
big.
anime.
Jeez. Yeah.
Those are his two favorite things, anime and sports. And he's done a lot of these anime little clips. And the very popular ones are the ones that I was like, all right, let me Attack of Titan. What the hell is this about? And I went to Eric. He goes, Dad, you're not ready for this one. I was like, this one's very
You're
mature.
Not ready for this.
He's like,
one.
this was mature. I'm like, this is 12-year-old kids that are mature. Then I watched the first couple episodes. I'm like, this is dark. This is like if Zack Snyder was doing an anime. It's like,
It made the Snyderverse seem happy-go-lucky. Those first.
okay,
couple
you're
of
right.
episodes.
You're right. It was even darker than the Snyder.
It was like
movie.
if Clark Kent decided to kill his own mother instead. Like,
Yes, and then had a 30-minute flashback scene about his mom raising him up to the point where he decided to betray her and kill
That's
her.
right.
Like, it was that dark of an anime, and it's like no one wins in an anime. It's like terrible. So
Yeah.
I have not finished watching it. I think I stopped halfway through season 1. Naruto, on the other hand, I know Chris, you're a huge fan of this one. To me, it's like watching soap operas, like All My Children and Days of Our Lives, where it's like 5,000 episodes, and there's no way you can sit down and watch every episode of what happened to Erica Kane for like the last 5 years. Like Naruto is like War and Peace.
Right.
It's just way.
It's
way
like
too many
it's like
episodes.
comic books too. Like you can't like where do you start? You just got to pick something and hope that you can get it once you start moving along. It's tough to get into older ones. The same thing, like my son tells me the same thing with One Piece. He's like, I don't think you want to like, and I can obviously handle long anime, but he's like, yeah, you don't want to start One Piece.
Yeah, One Piece reminded me of One Punch Man, which I did
Oh.
like, but it got repetitive.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. That's his calling card. It's like back in the 80s, you used to watch WWF, whatever, and Hulk Hogan, whenever he was doing the
The leg.
then you knew the match was over. So One
Right.
Punch Man, whenever that music came on, oh, here comes a One Punch. Game over, roll
And
credits.
his mad stoic.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. It's like that doesn't excite me. I'm like, this is boring.
No,
But
see,
I have to
yeah.
give Eric real quick credit.
Yeah, go
is
for
the
it.
one anime other than My Hero Academia, because by the way, it's in season 5.
Mhm.
Just the first 2 episodes. Eric's no longer watching it. I'm still watching it. Sword Art Online.
You're really
It's,
sticking with this, aren't you? Wow.
Yes, Sword Art Online is an anime based on. This is kind of Keith might like this too. It's an anime first of all, where these people are in a VR world of a video game, but unbeknownst to them, the creator of the video game actually turned off all the safety rules and has now trapped all of the players in that world, where they have to go through and beat the gameplay. And if they die in the game, they die in real life. And
Because real life would be
my point is, it's different because you see these characters. The first couple episodes, some of them are trying to cheat. Like, nah, I already played the better, and then they actually die, and then they die. You know, they show you the characters dead in real life, in the hospital. So this dude masterminded this game because he wanted video games to be taken seriously, right? The creator of the game. So you have to go through the first season, at least the first arc of the season, is where you have to level up and learn how to play within the game while still living in meeting people's avatars and then getting to know who they really are. And then you start realizing people's attributes change. Like, no one's good and bad. Some people start becoming gray, where they, in order to level up, they can't find enough boars in the forest. They start killing actual characters to level up. It does get a little bit dark too. The protagonist of this series, I didn't like that much because it seemed like he had a lot of plot device, a lot of plot armor, where things just happened to work for him. He just happened to learn the skills the fastest and all this stuff. So, like, it was written where you knew this guy was going to win in the end of the day. Like, the final fight, he was going to win. You never felt really threatened by him. But I did like some of the secondary characters. Some of the this show, by the way, didn't do any of the female characters well, except for one. She was probably the best character. I forgot her name. It's a Japanese name. I can't remember. I don't want to mispronounce it. But she was probably my favorite character watching her because her arc was much better when she became like a regular player. So all of a sudden she became like, a guards woman. Like their version of Dora Milaje was created. It was kind of cool. So yeah, I would recommend Sword Art Online, at least the first season. Eric was telling me season 2 is trash. Don't go past season 1 because what they did is it's an anthology. Season 2 now is people are escaping to the real world, and somehow they get trapped into another video game. And it's like, did you learn your lesson from the first series? Like,
man, this keeps happening to me. What am I doing wrong?
Like they play another game with guns and like modern day times, and again they get trapped in that game. They have to figure their way out. So,
all right. So for me, I'm like I said, I have my son and his friend are huge anime fans, and so like you, James, I came across anime in the early 90s, late 90s, and people were handing me Ninja Scroll or Black Magic 66 or stuff like that. But again, you go away from it, and then you kind of once everything's online, it starts to be easy access. So when you're flipping through, oh, what show do I want to watch? You can see this stuff and it looks more interesting. And so what I found is there's a lot. This is going to sound stupid. There's a lot more to anime than the action adventure, genre of that. There's so many different genres of anime, and I'm, just kind of dipping my toe in some of them as I get recommendations. So yes, Attack on Titan, number 1, the first season is all like every episode is something horrible happens to somebody. Like and
they bait you to follow this character, like, oh, he's got a good story, and he's eaten.
If you can't power through some horrible losses, do not watch through the first season. And then, like, I'm at like halfway through season 3, and the story has finally really chugged forward, and some big reveals and what the universe is, and you're finally getting to that point of the story where you're feeling like, oh, I want to know the bigger thing. And yeah, I expect like 17 people to die in the next episode. That okay, I get it. As long as these 3 people are alive, everything else is okay. And then, so I like it. I've liked it, Attack on Titan, now that I've gotten through that initial horror of the first season.
You're better than me.
It's so funny.
Definitely not good to watch while you're impaired. Say
no,
that.
Definitely don't. So I'm gonna suggest 2 things that are out of my wheelhouse, and I've mentioned the first one before, and that's The Promised Neverland, which it does have a sci-fi element, but the main storyline is basically about normal human children in an orphanage and their discovery of what's going on in the orphanage and their attempts to take care of each other, not lose one another, because kids will leave the orphanage once they age out or they get adopted. And so it's really a really well made character piece, for lack of a better term, with a little action adventure coming in later in the series. So I was very surprised. It's super well written, and I would be surprised if it's not a live action movie by 5 years from now.
Probably will be. All this stuff is great content for someone to
I've got words for people who make anime into a live action, right? And the other one I'm going to suggest is one I just saw. I think it's brand new because the way I'm seeing it being online, and that's called Skate the Infinity. SK the 8, or the infinity sign, but the number 8, the infinity. And this is in the genre of sports anime, which I didn't know. Like, I've seen like basketball and volleyball like advertisements for these different sports anime, but apparently the genre has its own little quirks that are not in other anime genres. Like the action genre has its own quirks versus the porname has its own.
Yeah, it's out there.
Hentai.
Right. But
Yeah.
apparently the sporting genre has its own quirks that you kind of gotta get into and go, okay, that I wasn't expecting because I don't know much about this. But it was a good story. It was only one season, just like The Promised Neverland. These things are only like 12 episodes, instead of the 500 episode Naruto
Dear Lord.
or One Piece or that kind of stuff, So those are good to kind of get into. And so my sons are real big into skateboarding too. So we watch this thing, and one kid moves to Japan after his father dies with his mother, and he meets another kid who gets him into skateboarding. And there's like this big skateboarding competition on this dangerous mountain, and you meet different characters who are different on day-to-day lives than they are on the skateboard mountain. You have this one guy who works in a flower shop, and then he gets on the mountain and he's like Kiss, like he's got the face makeup and rings and big muscles, and he's hitting people. And so it's interesting to see these different genres and how they mix with anime. So my one note to people who, if you make a live action anime, number one, do not try to copy the hair. It always looks freaking stupid in live action. Do not try to spike everybody's hair, into big giant purple or pink, spikes. It's not the 80s. It's not worth it. And the other thing is, like, some stuff that was made in specific countries, like their society, their culture is in that storyline. And when you bring it to America and you
Don't
just
whitewash it.
and you just try to repeat that story, but with American people, like
Yeah.
it doesn't always
Say it.
translate.
Whitewash.
It's not even just whitewashing. It's like the story itself, it doesn't mean anything to your average American.
Yeah, because it's whitewash.
So
That's trends.
So like the best example is like if you take Seven Samurai and you just make them white and you bring it to America, it's not going to work. But if you make it the magnificent Seven with cowboys, and you kind of take the idea and the process and you make it Americanized, and then it means something to people in that culture, but it's taking a great idea. So like if someone wants to take some of these really cool movies or shows and bring them to America, please do not try to make Akira American. I do not see how that's going to work. Like, it is very deep into Japanese culture, Akira, and they keep trying to make this thing, and I keep hoping they don't ever get there, because I just know they're going to fuck it up. Not that they can't make a good movie with the ideas, but I think they just have this idea that they have to just plop it over and put white people in it.
Yeah. We're not there yet. We barely could do an Asian, like we can't do a Raid or Raid 2 type of movie.
We can barely do British television over here. Like,
yeah, that too.
Like that should be the easiest transition, and yet we still sometimes don't bring it over. Like, we couldn't even do the IT Crowd in America. Like, somehow, how did we fuck that up?
Yep.
Okay, that's our anime segment. Ba-ba-ba-bum, ba. And we are going to go to break, and we are going to get everybody else back involved as we move on to talk about Debris and Thunder Force. Be right back.
Thunder Force.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our segment where we're going to talk about the television show Debris, otherwise known as actually Debris.
I'm like, who?
We call it Debris in the house.
Only
You want to watch Debris? Yeah, we'll watch Debris today.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
So this is a NBC television show, just started this year. Basis of the show is two agents, one from America, one from England, are chasing after debris from a fallen spaceship that has random effects wherever it lands, and so they have to chase it around, hope possibly fix whatever problems it caused, and then neutralize the ingredients. And of course, there's always a bunch of random bad guys running around trying to use it to basically do whatever they feel like doing, bad guy wise. And that was a wonderful. So what are we on here? We're on episode 7.
I just watched
Yeah, I
last
think
night's episode.
7 was last night. Yeah.
7,
Yeah, I just
So
caught
I
that
think-
today.
I'm only up to 5, but it's not like you guys can spoil anything. So if you
No,
want to-
I mean,
It's-
honestly, the last 2 episodes, there's different story. It's like story by story, week by week type of thing. But the overarching story plot line of there's this terrorist group also trying to reclaim these, because these debris gives you different properties, like different,
right,
transportation and whatever it is.
speed, invisibility, that kind of stuff.
So there's like this group that now they're trying to, the governments, both the UK and US, which technically are working together, but really are working in opposite
right.
positions, which is fun. I like
As
the political
usual.
part. Yeah, I like the political part of this more so than the sci-fi part. How the UK is MI6 working CIA, but they're working counterintuitive of each other, and it's like makes you think about real life. But anyway,
So our two mains are Ryan Steele, who's playing Finola Jones, and Jonathan Tucker playing Brian Beneventi. And what do you think of the 2 leads? I don't dislike them. Like, I watch other shows where the leads are just boring and dull, where I find them fine, but they're not like, it's not, and maybe it's the way they're writing the show. I don't feel like they're trying to make them a couple. So maybe I like that a
No.
lot more. Like,
no,
they're
more
not
like
trying-
Mulder and Scully. I get shadows of Mulder and Scully a lot.
Yeah, but Mulder and Scully just felt a little bit more like a lot of sexual tension and like, yeah.
Huh?
I agree with that. Yeah. You
Yeah,
could see it.
These
Yeah.
guys aren't doing that, but it definitely feels purposeful more than it's not like they don't have a thing. They bounce off each other pretty well, but it's more like they're a little more antagonistic as opposed to Mulder was always just trying to bring Scully into his universe. Whereas they're in the same universe, but they're seeing it in different eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
But anyway,
quietly disagree, but that's
so what
fine.
do you think? Start with you, James. What do you think of the leads?
I kind of agree with you that they're not the biggest part of this show so far. At least the first 2 episodes, I think the female lead, and I forget her name too, British actress. She
Ryan Steele.
she caught me first, not because of her physical attractiveness, but also her story about the fact that her dad was a scientist who was part of this whole the science of this show.
Mhm.
And the fact that his mystery death, or whether he's dead or not, that became a plot device in the first 2 or 3 episodes, and her dealing with that, I thought it was pretty cool. And I like her straight face portrayal of her character versus the opposite, the other protagonist, the male figure, who was more like the military guy.
Jonathan Tucker.
Yes, who is now on this mission. So he's a little more pragmatic, where she's a little more like science-based. So I don't know. As I watch the first 2 episodes, 3 episodes, I automatically kind of link towards her more so than him.
Mhm.
But as I now get to episode 4, 5, 6, 7, my favorite character isn't any one of the 2 leads. It's the main U.S. science, the CIA guy who's leading the operative.
I don't know which
yeah.
one that is.
That guy, his character to me has taken huge leaps in the show, where I'm more interested in what he's doing more so than the 2 leads. So, I mean, the leads are fine so far for what they're doing for the show. They're carrying the story. They're going through their own personal issues with each other, trusting each other, not trusting each other, working for the U.S., working for the CIA. But I think some of the secondary characters of the show are really giving the show a little more umph.
Okay. Mike. what about
Yeah,
you?
the leads are fine for me. Like I actually like her better than him because she seems more empathetic towards the situation. towards the victims of the debris
Good
that
point,
he
yeah.
does. Like he's just like,
He's
yeah,
a military guy.
yeah, let's just get this piece and get out of here. And she's like, no, we need to help these people, you know? So I like that a little better. I do like that CIA guy too. And I like that the mystery behind her father and what's going on, if he's a clone or, you know what I mean?
Well, we're gonna do a spoiler here in that
Mhm.
Is he
I
a
think it was
clone? I'm like, oh.
episode 4, I believe it was, where basically the CIA guy gets word that her dad might be alive, but he's not to
Yeah.
tell her. So there's this little bit of tension in that episode where he's got this information. Every time he talks to her, he's got to deal with her all the time, and he's, and you see them starting to finally be more friendly. Like they have these little flights, airplane flights, where they have little conversations, and they start to kind of to gel a little bit. And then the next episode, she gets information that he's got the information that her dad might be alive, and so she's dealing with her dad maybe being alive, and that she feels a little bit betrayed, and they get a little bit more antagonistic. And I thought that really throwing the little spice into that otherwise was I would say a more generic version of Mulder and Scully kind of relationship, where it's like, oh, coming from two different worlds. But in this case, neither of them, it's not like there's a skeptic and a realist. Like they both believe this is happening because they see it. It's
Yeah.
just, they
Good
both
point.
have different teams they're
Objective.
working for.
Yeah.
And some, they both kind of want the same thing, but do they? So that was interesting. And the more stuff they throw at their relationship, I think the more interesting it has become as we got to later.
Yeah, what I like about it for the most part is that it's not that we as the audience know what's going on, or they know what's going on, we don't.
Mhm.
Like it's pretty much you're all in it together as you watch. Like with her dad, you don't know. Like all we know is he's back, but we know just like they do that he died, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
the same thing with the debris. Like you see the debris is affecting people, but we don't know until they figure it out, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. You're not behind. You don't feel behind.
yeah.
Or too far ahead of them. And I
Mhm.
think that's what drew me to the series, because a lot of times you're like, the series will draw you in if the character's in, but this one, I think the story and the ideas behind it is so.
That's what I tried to say earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go for it, James.
I try to say that the co-leads aren't really what's attracting me to the show. It's a combination of the secondary and tertiary characters, and then the actual concept of this space debris from a ship that's exploded within our solar system, and each episode gives you a certain scientific concept. Like, by the way, I did some research on this, and every episode, including last night's, is based on some sort of scientific theory, and they're magnifying that in each episode. Like, for example, the 3D versus 4D was one episode.
Mhm.
The ability to magnetize physical structures that we have in Manhattan or elsewhere in the world. Each episode, they're taking a different scientific concept that we haven't proven yet, and they're putting it on the show as like, okay, now the debris is going to be able to show you that this does exist,
Mhm.
which I think to me is more intriguing than anything else. And I'm shocked that a show like this can exist on NBC and not on like the Sci-Fi Network or something else.
Yeah, it does feel very like, even the setup and the shooting feels more sci-fi than a standard NBC sitcom.
Yeah, you can tell they spent some money on the show at least, which is good for the production value, not like.
Yeah, the CG or the effects isn't over the top. Everything is just enough to feed you the information you need and make you feel like it's actually going on in this show.
Yeah.
Yep. Highly recommend the show.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
It surprised me how much I enjoy it, actually, because a lot of times, you get a new network sci-fi show and you're like,
Mhm.
another.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to find
It's cancel real quick.
A nice week-to-week show that everybody can watch. Nothing's happened so far that even a 10 or 12-year-old can't be a part of. Younger probably wouldn't care at all. But like even middle school kind of might watch it with everybody, or you can have it on and not care that they don't they're watching or not watching. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. Like we can all watch and we can all get kind of interested in the story, enjoy it.
Yeah,
Go
what I
ahead.
find with network TV, like they're a lot of the shows trying to recapture that Lost vibe, that magic
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
in their sci-fi shows, and most of them just fail.
It's not
because
just
they weren't-
network. Basic cable's doing the same
Yeah.
thing too.
Yeah, but
Oh, it's hard. You want to get that week to week buzz, that
Mhm.
mystery element, and
Right.
so far the only show that's probably gotten the level is probably WandaVision. Got people questioning
Yeah, Easter
Yeah.
eggs and going online.
and theories and shit like that. And
But then again, if I had $200 million to spend on a TV show, better believe it'll be top notch, right? So
well, and you'd probably choose more than 8 episodes or 9
Mhm.
episodes.
Yeah. Also, the big thing about Lost, and it's not a Lost recap show, is having an ensemble cast and then writing a story where you could have each individual cast member get like a dedicated episode.
yeah,
That's part of the overall mythology. That's something that's missing in network TV that I haven't seen in a long time. That
yeah,
I don't know if we're obviously.
Well, unfortunately, the last couple of shows that have done that, including like Game of Thrones, hasn't been able to land where it makes the actual audience happy. Like you get these big shows, and then they end, and everybody just bitches about the
well,
ending.
a lot of people were disappointed in the Lost finale too, right? So
Well,
Yeah.
Lost finale, everything back to
Yeah.
what was the New Jersey crime family?
Sopranos.
Sopranos.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one that I enjoyed was the Breaking Bad finale. Satisfied me.
Yeah.
That was fine.
Yeah. Breaking Bad to me was
But that
my
wasn't
favorite
like
finale.
a big giant ensemble cast. Like
No, but
the ones that have been more character pieces, and yes, of course, you're going to have multiple characters, but have been more focused, tend to be able to finish that story better than these big ensembles, where you're trying to finish off the story for, 8 to 10 people
yeah.
to make, So
True
we'll
that.
see. We'll see if anybody's able to actually land that jump. Can I call out that there is the guy who plays the head terrorist? His name is Scroobius Pip.
That's his real name?
That's his real name. Scroobius Pip is a UK spoken word poet and hip hop artist.
What? Oh, you got to see the latest episode, last night's episode of him. Oh man.
So I'm just gonna say he's great. I like him on the show, but like whenever they go through the character, the actors' names at the beginning of the show, we kept going, wait, am I seeing that wrong?
Yeah, I remember now.
He's giving him more a hippie look than hip hop look, but what do I know?
Well, I mean, he was born in 81, so he's near our age. And he first gained prominence in one half of a hip hop duo, Dan Lee Sack versus Scroobius Pip.
Okay.
Somewhere a kid in plays rolling into graves.
That's
I'll
that's
take
a
your word for it there.
that's a UK hip hop, by the way. UK.
Yeah.
So, all right, welcome back, everybody. We are here to finally talk about Thunder Force, the Netflix new release action comedy superhero movie starring Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer. As IMDb puts it, in a world where supervillains are commonplace, two estranged childhood best friends reunite after one devises a treatment that gives them powers to protect their city.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
So this, as like I said, stars Melissa McCarthy as Lydia, Octavia Spencer as Emily, Pom Clementif. You would know her as Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. She stars as Laser. And in a surprise performance stealing the show, it's Jason Bateman as Jerry. So I don't even know where to start with this movie. So I'm going to let Keith start, because Keith seemed to have a really the high positivity here that I really want to display at the start on this show. So I'm going to let you go, Keith. Tell me what you thought of Thunder Force.
Before these nerds chop all of the actual humor and family friendly
humor
out of this like family friendly romp, it was good. I enjoyed it. I was prepared to be a little bit bored or whatever. I didn't think that it would be as funny as it was. Not that it was as funny as I would like it to be, but like it was cute. It was a cute movie. I feel like it hit the mark for the type of movie that it was supposed to be, for the type of audience that they were going for. And it was decent filler. I'm not mad at it. Like, will I watch it again? Probably not. But I could definitely see like it's a cute movie for a family movie night. Like it's entertaining.
Okay.
And then Jason Bateman, like he really made the movie like even for his part, he helped make the movie even better and more bearable. Like he pulled a more adult comedy into the movie a little bit, if that makes sense. But like,
it does.
Yeah, he adulted up the movie a little bit, and I kind of dug that. And he's one of my favorites. So like, yeah, good stuff. We're not doing the grades yet, right?
No, not yet.
Yeah, we'll hit that at the end.
Nah, I enjoyed it. I'd recommend it. Go see it.
Okay. All right. James, you had your hand up, so I'm gonna let you.
I did because I much respect to Keith. I've known this guy, more than half my life, and I take a lot of his recommendations to heart. But this movie is definitely not a recommended movie. This movie is a terrible movie. But I did agree with them with Jason Bateman's role, because Jason Bateman, to me, another guy actor that we need to give him his flowers while he's still alive, because he's done great work, both comedy, action, and drama. But you remove him this movie is a terrible movie. I'm about to nerd it up, which Keith didn't want us to do, because we're Heroes Peak Podcast. We talk about heroes and talk about nerd shit. This movie's trope of superheroes was terrible from the beginning. The idea of, these superpowers be given to miscreants and,
sociopaths. Only sociopaths.
Made no sense. But even if I turn my brain off and start eating popcorn and Skittles and watching this movie, nothing made sense. In fact, Melissa McCarthy, which is one of the co-leads, to me was a huge detriment to this movie. I'm tired of seeing her doing the same roles that she does in every single movie.
That's what I wanted to look up her husband.
Like, it's like Melissa McCarthy plays X. She plays Y. I didn't realize until you guys were giving information that her husband was behind this entire production. I didn't realize
Falcone. This is big. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Ben
Falcone.
I wasn't aware of that part at all.
Oh, cool! Happy birthday.
So I'm watching this movie devoid of that knowledge, devoid of information, just trying to all right, geek out, Sunday afternoon. And I gave it a shot, and I'm like, this is a terrible movie, terrible comedy, other than Jason Bateman, terrible comedy, terrible superhero movie. This Netflix should be ashamed to even put this on their roster. Like, if you like this, you might like that. I'm like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. Recheck that algorithm, buddy. You're fucking wrong.
Yeah. So let me add on that.
Go ahead, Mike.
I agree with you 100%. This is another. I've said this before on a previous pod. Melissa McCarthy just plays Melissa McCarthy now in every movie. It's the same shtick, same character. Octavia Spencer, who I enjoy, she seemed bored in this movie. Like, it was just all like, okay, and like it was just for a paycheck.
I did find out that
it's fine.
Melissa and Octavia have been friends for 20 years.
Right.
So if they brought her on just because she was helping out, or did they bring her on because she was excited for this fun little in the moment like superhero thing? Like, that's a good question.
It didn't seem like it, that's for sure. So Not her best performance, but whatever. And Jason Bateman was great, as usual. The whole crab thing threw me off too, but I guess
I
we
like
can talk
that
about
though. I liked it because I realized
No,
this
it was funny, but it
was
didn't
put in
make
the movie
sense.
for a comedy relief.
But it's
But
part
see,
of
but the whole thing wasn't supposed to make sense. Like I feel like that's the part. Like that's why I
Why would I-
started off. That's why I started off with the like. I watched they're gonna over nerd it up and like really kind of over evaluate something that really is not meant to be really even evaluated that deeply. Like it's just like it's watchable content.
You know
This
what?
is the basics. I'm not
there's a
even
whole-
nerding it up. I'm just
I
talking about
compared
the
this to
basics.
And it
Blank
wasn't
Man.
a superhero film.
I compared this to
It
Blank
was a
Man.
Melissa McCarthy. It was a Melissa McCarthy film.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
you guys
there
are
you go.
looking at it from the wrong angle. Like it's not a superhero film. Like it's a Melissa McCarthy film.
But
Like
it's called Thunder Force. It's a superhero film.
I dig
Advertised
it.
as such.
Okay, but,
but
I'm
like
not
how
even-
many different like we've seen her play the same role dressed up in mad different ways. Like
Right.
this is just one of those. Like it's a whole thing. She has a whole genre. Like it's
does.
just
Okay.
that's
All
just
right.
it.
Yeah.
but it
gonna
was
let-
funny the first maybe 3 times, but it's not funny to me anymore.
Oh, it's not funny once it comes to superheroes. Like you
No,
draw a line.
I
Yeah,
haven't
we gotta
mentioned-
draw a line in the
I haven't
Melissa
mentioned
McCarthy
superheroes.
sand. We gotta
Steve,
draw a
I
line in
haven't
the
said-
Melissa McCarthy sand. That's superheroes.
I haven't said the word superhero on my review so far, have I? I'm not talking about superhero. I'm talking about her acting, the jokes. I'm talking about the plot.
Yeah.
Which has, I'm not even talking about.
I feel you.
No, but that's
Not
just
the-
me, right?
Not the greatest movies in the world, but to me, like the movies in that genre aren't the greatest movies in the world. It's like they are the living embodiment of one big mom or dad joke. That's
I
what
can still watch Blank Man to this
Like,
day. I
Yeah,
can still
I
put
can
on
watch
Blank
Blank
Man. Keith, I can still put on Blank Man and get the whole family sitting there watching it and still laugh to like 20, 30 years later.
Yeah, I was talking
Whereas
to Chris
this
the other day.
movie-
I could throw Mystery Men on and I'll laugh at it.
Good one. I forgot
Yeah.
about that one. Mystery
Mhm.
Man, which is a ensemble. I mean,
No,
it's a little
but
different.
see, but those are actual legitimate. Like I feel what you guys are saying. It's not. I'm not saying by degrees. It's not like it's not any kind of Oscar winning performance at all. But I also
Neither is Mystery Man or Blank Man.
But I also like and those were better done or whatever or what have. But see, that's degrees. That's degrees of which, like, oh, like this movie is better than that movie in the same line and category. Like, it's not like they're not in the same category. Like, this is a rom-commy. She's like her, like, it's not about the superheroes so much as those were a comedy about the superheroes. Like, it was about the ridiculousness of the group of superheroes and their ridiculous superhero powers. They had the most basic of superhero powers, just enough to call themselves superheroes, so they could paint it over a rom-commy Melissa McCarthy movie.
A friendship movie.
Like, it's just
a movie
like
about friendship. Yeah.
I'm not like rom-com.
Okay.
I mean, well, yeah, it's a
Maybe we should
movie
let
about
Brooks go.
friendship and rekindling and this, that, and the other.
Let's
It wasn't
let
about
Brooks.
the-
Let's let
All
the
right,
miscreant, the only miscreant here, talk.
I'm gonna let
Are you-
Brooks have a shot here. Sorry,
She's
Mike.
half cream, by the way. She's not full Miss Cream.
She's an half green.
I
That
would
was
like
funny.
to.
That was funny.
That was funny.
That
Mike,
was good.
Mike,
That was,
you should have wrote the movie.
that was the funniest joke of the entire movie.
Yeah,
Probably.
it really
I feel
was.
like I would like to smoke whatever weed Keith is smoking that made this movie funny to him.
I didn't say it was funny. It got some chuckles from me, and just in terms of the family friendliness of it. I see exactly what kind of movie this is. I prepared
Yeah.
myself for a superhero movie. This is not a superhero movie.
It's
This
not.
is a Melissa McCarthy movie. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
then you look at it from different eyes, like, okay, I see where this is going. This is Melissa McCarthy and her awkward friendship. This is a friendship movie about like rekindling lost friendship. And it had minimal to do with the actual superheroing of the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean,
But
Yeah.
the plot and the writing could have been so much better for a friendship rekindling movie.
Yeah, I
Even
know.
that-
I mean, if we
superheroes
want to poke
regardless.
holes, there's several holes that could be poked. Like
Okay.
the movie, it went along way too fast. The plot advanced way too quickly for you to really like for them to really kind of like make some of the plot jumps that they made.
Yeah.
So like, but after a while, I started to realize it's intentional. Come on, they call the bad guys, they call the bad superheroes miscreants. Come on, like how serious are they being?
All right,
They're not
Brooks,
serious about
Brooksy
the
actually gets a
superhero
chance
part.
to say what she wants.
Yeah, miscreant.
It's that it's like just the use of that, like like the supervillains are called miscreants. It took me a second to even realize like they really were using miscreants as a like y'all are really talking about supervillains. Like okay, like it took me. I'm 20 minutes into the movie like before I realized like miscreants was really what they're using. Like that's the serious plot
Right, yeah.
mechanism in the movie. Like so. It couldn't be that serious. So I started to not take it that serious. Like,
Right.
And then you could
you
laugh
guys
at
are
it.
just like super dork nerds.
Still
Yeah.
didn't laugh.
Turn it off.
Still
Come
didn't
down
laugh.
to
All
earth
right,
with the
all
rest of us sometimes.
All
So,
right, Brooks,
I
go ahead.
also-
Come take a breath and walk among the
All
ground.
right, Brooks,
It's
please
okay.
walk Keith into what the real movie, what you thought.
I also didn't like, you guys all thought the crab was funny. Like that to me wasn't funny either. Like I get that he's supposed to be a miscreant, but like, what
No.
was it?
He's
Why?
only half. He's only half.
Oh, he's only half.
He
He
And why
claimed he's
wasn't-
only half. He claimed he's only half.
Only half.
Oh.
He was
Because
bitten
a
on the
radio
scrotum by a radioactive
radioactive
crab.
crab.
crab. I had
But
to
come
write
on,
that
like how funny, like how
That was funny.
how serious is the movie? I can't deep dive into a movie like that and take it seriously.
Again,
I mean,
blank
All
I
right,
didn't
man
take
and
it
mystery man.
serious.
Okay.
I definitely didn't take it serious. Like I didn't think it was going to be serious. It just like, and I hear you, and it was like you say it was one big dad joke. It just that, and I think dad jokes are funny. It just totally missed the mark for me. I just didn't
when
find
I
it
say
funny.
one big dad joke, I mean like what a dad joke is. Like
Yeah,
like it's like mom pants. Like that movie was one big mom pants. Like mom jeans. That's what I mean. Like it was one big mom jeans.
Hold on,
That's what
Brooks.
that movie
Let
was.
Brooks speak. 'Cause I want to hear your feedback on this movie. That's terrible. That Keith won't let you finish.
I mean,
I mean, yeah, I could call it terrible. It's terrible because it's
Keith
not
is
like
defending
it's
this
not
movie
one
way
piece.
too hard, like
It's
he
not
bought
one
stock
piece.
in the production
I
company.
think he
I
did.
know.
He's got
He
some.
might have.
He's got some stock. I know.
let me check his stock app really quick.
Like, stop pushing down my stock.
You guys are hedging me.
I also like this is such a dumb thing for me to focus on, but I feel like Melissa McCartney, her whole thing is that I guess she is who she is, right? Like they
Like
could
Leslie
have
Jones.
done they could have done so much more with her. Like I mean, this is such a dumb thing to focus on. Again, like her hair just looked like shit the whole time. Whoever did her makeup did a horrible job. Like I just feel like they could have gotten her, they could have made her look so much better. But I get it. She's supposed to be like the common person or
No,
The
she's
Chicago
supposed to be like
person.
white trash. Like
She's
not
Chicago
even
Bears
common.
fan. You know, like all the Chicago Bears fans.
So
True.
on that point though, she is capable of doing more than that type of character. I've seen
yes,
her
but
do
she
it,
never
but she
that- but
doesn't. Yeah.
right.
doesn't
she
pay the
just
big
falls
bucks.
back into
Yeah,
that.
this
Yeah.
No,
And it's, like,
guys.
annoying to
I
me.
think we're missing something. Is that Melissa McCarthy? I looked this up. Melissa McCarthy has multiple movies in which she is a main character, and the movie is rated fresh for whatever that says about people who went to Rotten
Like
Tomatoes
Tammy,
and rated.
yeah.
She has multiple movies, like 2 or 3,
Yeah.
not like every movie, but every movie that she does with her husband. Every movie that man has directed and written, like 30% or below.
Wow.
Like whatever, is it the combination of the two? Is it that he's just a really bad writer and he wants to make, and he's married to this woman who can make all the movies happen? Does
That
does
part I
she
didn't know.
does she
Yeah,
not
but
push
she-
back
didn't
on
either.
him? Like, does he just let her do the most basic? Like, there's something in that combination, because the movies are Tammy, the boss, super intelligence, and this one here. And they're all just like you guys have been saying, the same character.
So even
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw Super Intelligence. It's on HBO Max, and even so, that to me was way better because her character was toned down. She was more level-headed, trying to figure out what's going on, and she was trying to save the world. but she wasn't like outrageous or outlandish the whole time doing stupid, silly things, like a typical, like her other movies. So like, that's why I was saying she is capable of doing that. And to me, an interesting plot twist in this movie would have been if after high school, when the two of them split off, if she had decided I'm gonna work my ass off and be a genius and do this, and the other one had kind of
and Octavia fell through the way.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Yep.
That would have been a great story arc.
Before we get to the what ifs,
Mm.
Brooksy, do you have anything else you wanted to say that we didn't jump in?
No, I mean, I felt like it could have been funny. It kept missing the mark. And like, even though Octavia and Melissa are friends in real life, I didn't get that chemistry from them
Right. Exactly.
in the movie at all, which was really surprising to me, especially now knowing that they've been friends for 20 years. And like, I just feel like the whole movie, it had potential. Like, it could have been funny. It just wasn't. Like, for whatever reason, it just fell short continuously, which was harder for me to watch than just watching a bad movie, because I was like, this actually has potential. It could be good. And also the whole crab thing just like grossed me out so much. I could not watch
God.
it. I literally
By
like
the way-
put my shirt in front of my face and was like, this is gross.
Oh.
Anytime the crab
As
came
I have
on,
snow
I
crabs
couldn't do it.
waiting for me for dinner. By the way, we didn't even talk about the fact that the daughter was involved. To me, that was a terrible plot device at the end, where she had powers as well.
Taylor Mosby.
Yeah. Why did they wait till the end? I don't get it. But
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go into my rant here.
okay.
There we go.
Here's my rant. Number one, I watched with my family. Like, I brought everybody involved because, like Keith said, this is what I expected it to be. I expected it to have, okay, so when you're with a group, some people will find this joke funny, other people will find that joke funny. And so you get kind of a little laughter throughout, and you hope the whole thing kind of builds everybody's enjoyment of the thing. It didn't work.
Right.
So what bugged me, number one, was as soon as they started out with that whole comic book panel, like that intro where they have to do the cartoons and they have to explain the universe to you.
Yeah, like
I
comic book
went,
superhero
okay.
movies.
I went, okay, this is like a throwback to 2003, like the terrible Hulk movie.
Ang Lee.
Ang Lee. But like the idea at that time where they're like, well, it's a comic book universe. We have to explain this to people. No, you don't. You don't have to explain it to anybody anymore. You're 2021. You're last in the line of 1,000 comic book movies. If you want to use it as a setting for your little friendship movie, fine, do it. But don't think that your audience doesn't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think it really started at kind of a low point. Next, you had this overly long, like, kids section where they tried to show, okay, so she's the tough girl and she's the smart girl and they have to become friends and you have to fight a bully. Again, enough with the bullies in the superhero movies. I'm talking to you, DC. Like, I don't care that Aquaman was teased as a kid. Like, it doesn't matter. Stop
Oh, we have a Zack Snyder fan here. Be careful.
it. Stop it. All right. No more little kids. Just to put it that way. But anyway, so that was okay, but it was overly long, unnecessarily long. And then I'm sitting there going, wait, is this a comedy? Like, I was questioning the idea that it was actually a comedy because first thing, her parents die immediately in a chain explosion. I'm like,
Can't be a DC movie without parents dying.
that's right.
Yeah, what does DC have against parents, yo?
And then
I don't understand that.
and then she's being bullied in the class, and yeah, the girl stands up for her, and yeah, that's kind of a funny comeback. But it was like, am I supposed to be like watching Batman's parents be killed and being like, yeah, this is a funny start to a movie? Like, no, that it was like, okay, are we going serious? Am I wrong? Was it not is Melissa McCarthy going to switch it up and going to try to do, hey, we're going to do a superhero movie in the superhero realm? No, it wasn't that either, because then she started dropping the white trash whatever joke, like, yeah, I pulled this shirt out of the trash.
Yeah.
Like my milk is spoiled. Like all the basic, jokes like that. But then, like you guys said, when she runs into her old friend, there was no spark. It wasn't like she was like, oh, I missed you, and they get back together and we're gonna do what we always wanted. So the whole friendship thing, that didn't seem to work.
I didn't know you had a daughter. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Oh my God, the jokes, just dragging a joke.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that too. Like they spent a whole minute on a bad milk cereal gag. You know what I mean?
And the Urkel joke.
Yeah.
How many times can you say Urkel?
I had to explain that to Eric. He's like, he didn't get it.
I mean, it was funny that she didn't get it, and then even her friend, who's her same age, didn't get it. But then she just told the joke, and I'm like, oh my God.
I'll give you another example. The guy in the bar telling the knock knock joke. He went on for and on. Like, all right, dude, we get it.
And the deli owner telling that really bad, like salmon reference. The story with the salmon and the dead salmon, and I'm like,
don't forget Bobby Cannavale, who's talking about who he killed, Andrew, Ken, what's his name?
Yeah,
that was going on forever too.
Like, I'm like, okay, I think these are supposed to be comedy bits, but it's not catching with anybody. Like, it's not even a slapstick funny giggle. At least people like slapstick, you know. But it's just like none of the jokes were catching. The relationship wasn't there for, like Keith was saying, okay, so is it a friendship? They're getting back together. They're you know, and I didn't feel that was hitting either. So it just, to me, it didn't feel like the movie knew, did it really want to do the superhero thing, or did it want to make a joke of the superhero thing? Did it want to be just a comedy, or was it actually a piece where Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer wanted to, like, Octavia Spencer didn't tell a joke, did she?
Like, yeah, the superhero angle was just a plot device.
She played the straight man version.
But if you're gonna make it a plot device, then make it interesting. Like they use the most basic and boring elements of the plot device. Number one, the first time I saw the crab guy, I laughed. Jason Bateman. If the entire premise was, oh my God, all these horrible people got horrible powers, and then everybody was these stupid, ridiculous, dumbass, you know, people were crabs or sharks or like people had flippers and they were trying to get to work on a bus, like something where you take that idea that and you add comedy element to the, just giving people laser beams doesn't add comedy to the comedy element.
They only showed us 3 super villains. It was Laser Girl, the main bad guy, Bobby Cannavale, and Crab Guy.
Right, and Crab Guy was funny. I thought every time he was on screen, he did something
Yes,
funny.
I was engaged every time he's on screen.
And him and Melissa McCarthy, I thought, did great off of each other.
Yeah,
I thought they had
chemistry together. Yeah,
fun chemistry. And I know I heard what Brooksy said, because I did the same thing at first when she like licked his claw. Like I said, oh look, I do not want to watch it, but I was laughing when I did it. Like I was laughing at it. I was laughing at the butter. I was laughing at the Old Bay.
Doesn't make me hungry.
I always pull out. I always have Old Bay in my bra. Like that was a good joke.
Yeah.
And when they got silly and ridiculous, that was fun, and it made it more interesting. And you could have done this thing where you're like, okay, like Keith said, we're just using this as a crutch for a comedy movie, but they failed to make a comedy movie to go with the genre that they decided to throw on top. So it that's what really bugged me, is it didn't feel like they went for a comedy or they went for a heartfelt movie and they threw this superhero genre on top that's been popular. It just felt like it was a mishmash that just kind
of everything. And Melissa McCarthy was like ad-libbing half the movie.
Right. Yeah, it did feel a lot like ad-libbing, and it felt like
I felt like she didn't have too much of a script, and she was just like.
And they told Octavia Spencer to be the straight man, and she just basically stood there and hated Melissa McCarthy. As like her character seemed to hate everything about Melissa McCarthy more than like, oh, this is the woman I missed. Like, this is what's been missing in my life, is the fun and the toughness that you brought, you know.
And a terrible mom too, but that's a different story.
I do want to add, I thought Melissa Leo was good. The CIA agent. I thought she was.
Yes.
good too.
All of us, and then she with the betrayal.
She
Yeah.
felt a little more straight man comedy in some of her looks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was joking about Bobby Cannavale earlier, but I think as a villain in this type of movie where you just turn your brain off, he did his job. He was stupid. He had the dumb one lines. He killed the people.
Oh yeah, him again.
When he hugged the mayor, he was like explode. Like all of his lines was pretty funny too. Like
give
that
him
to me.
Give him something that's not super strength. Give him a ridiculous, stupid power.
Right.
That surprises is still dangerous. Or
Yeah,
like
but it goes back to the fact that they needed him to fight off against Melissa McCarthy at the end, like Zod Superman type of thing.
Exactly. And that fight wasn't it wasn't doing anything interesting. And like you said, they decided to throw the daughter in there the last second to save the day, and that makes everything better. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm ready for our grades.
I just think it missed
and
my
snow crab claws.
Hey, what? It made me laugh. Like I just wanted that whole movie. Like make that the movie. Everybody's got stupid fish powers, like something.
Sounds horrible. Please don't make that movie.
Please don't. Snakes on the plane.
Have you guys ever seen My Hero Academia? Anybody see that? So in that show, everybody's got there's some normal powers, but there are some dumb.
It's called quirks. And some of it was ridiculous.
Yeah, one guy's just got the head of an orca. Like that's it. That's who he is. He's got the head of a giant orca. So it's like that. Like give me some more ridiculousness. Okay, we'll go to grades. I'm going to start with Mike, and I'm going to go around the horn. Mike, tell me.
It's a D for me. It could have been. There was potential there. It just didn't hit it at all. Mm-hmm. And I did laugh a few times, so it's not an F movie for me. Right. So if the objective of the movie was to make you laugh, then I did a few times, and that's it. Okay. So Keith. Straight D.
Keith. Save this movie.
See, no, I feel like defending something like you think like you guys are getting the opinion like I think it's a great movie. I don't.
We're just think it's funny.
I think it's a good example of the bad movie that it's the bad movie that it's supposed to be.
It's like this is better than the Avengers.
Yeah. So
it was better than Snyder Cut.
I'll give it a solid C.
Now you're trolling me.
Okay,
solid C. Hold on, Keith gave it a solid C.
Solid C. Okay.
Which is better than Snyder Cut.
All right, James.
D plus. D plus.
All right. Brooksy.
C minus.
Say again.
I said C minus.
Oh, C. Okay. I didn't hear.
Yeah, C minus.
Because there were no teeth in any.
Right. Exactly.
Which was a better superhero movie than this, by the way.
Wait, what?
Teeth was a better superhero.
No. I do not. I'm not going near that thing again.
Nah, dude. No. Stay off the edibles.
I'll watch this a dozen times before I watch it.
No, yeah.
Those are some serious edibles.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give this a D plus. That plus is absolutely just Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman. You and I are the same.
Because man,
that's why I didn't give it an F. So
yeah, I just it didn't go all in one direction. Like if you're gonna make a comedy, then fine, make a comedy. That's great. Just do it.
That goes to show you, man. Jason Bateman. We need to give that dude a little more credit than he's getting in Hollywood.
No, we don't, because I'm not giving him any credit for
Ozark.
Great Value, Breaking Bad.
Great Value.
I'm giving him credit for Breaking Bad Light.
Okay, question. So Mike had mentioned Superhero Ex-Girlfriend. That was a Jason Bateman movie, right?
No. Yes, it was. No. Hancock. He was in.
Hancock. He was in.
Yeah.
Yes.
But is Hancock?
He stole that movie for me.
I think Hancock was supposed to be a comedy, right?
Yeah, they got a little dark and like serious
more
at
like
the third act.
Comedy. It was.
I think it was a dark, like a dark comedy.
But that one's actually based off a comic book, though.
Yeah, but still, I think it's more of a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was my favorite part of that movie.
The My Super Ex-Girlfriend was Uma Thurman and Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson. Okay.
Can't stand Luke Wilson.
Do you guys have any other superhero comedy recommendations?
Mystery Men. We talked
Yeah,
about it
Mystery
earlier.
Men for sure.
And Blank Man.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really.
You didn't like which one? Blank Man or Mystery Men?
Blank Man, Mystery Man was hilarious. Blank Man
Yeah,
was
Mystery Man is good.
That is C plus to me. C plus. Like it wasn't really that funny to me.
I'm gonna say Superhero High, the old Disney movie. I
That's
love that
Kurt
movie.
Russell,
That was
right?
funny.
Kurt Russell.
I don't think I've
it's
seen
a
that.
great like family level comedy. It's not
See,
not
that-
over the top comedy, but it's a family level comedy teen.
I haven't
thing.
seen that one.
Oh, it's a great. Love that thing. I mean, again, it's from
Go
like
back and watch it
2010.
again.
Oh, we've watched it. We usually watch it and probably have seen it 5 times, just because it's was on the show TV.
It's definitely not worth viewing 5 times.
Well, there's a difference between sitting down and watching a movie and like having a movie on. But
in your potato salad stuff right there.
Wait, what is this called? I've never heard of this.
Superhero High. Oh no, Sky
Y'all just
High.
missed,
Sky
you
High.
missed
Sky
Keith's
High.
shade. I don't think anybody got Keith's shade on that one.
Yeah,
He
I
doesn't
did.
know,
I
like,
got
my-
it. Raisins. I heard.
My
got
house,
it.
my house just has people just randomly coming in and we'll watch movies. Like I've watched Green Lantern, that horrible Green Lantern movie. We've watched that like 4 times because
I
people
hate
come in and we'll watch the
rewatching.
movie. They'll pick a movie. We've watched all of
Never
the
seen
Star
this.
we watched all the Star Wars, including the sequel, the prequel trilogy, probably about 4 or 5 times a piece. Like people just come in, we'll watch a movie. Like just pick a movie, whatever you like. Come in and watch it.
Random people off the street showing up. Is it
Seriously,
movie time?
yeah, come in.
All
Come
the
in.
time.
I need a reason to watch a movie. Pick a movie. Like I can't pick. Like I got too
Hey,
many things.
shout
Obviously
out to-
charging
hold
at the
on.
door.
Shout out to our subscriber Casey that was about to roll up a half hour before we went on pod to come see the background here. My
Oh.
wife was like, no, it will not happen.
All right,
Yeah,
everybody.
people do that out here in the suburbs, Keith. And
They just show up at your house. They just come in, like some people don't even knock. You hear your door open.
Do they do
Hey.
that? Oh, then you need better locks. that's not on you. That's not on them. That's on you.
This is why we're still in a pandemic, folks. Come on.
It's like Cheers, man. It's like Cheers.
pandemonium, thought we cured that.
Pandemonium. It's pandemic.
That's what the kids are calling it, pandemonium in other words.
All right. I think that's where we're gonna end it. We're gonna say goodnight. We're gonna let James go eat because he still hasn't eaten. One of these days you're gonna eat at a normal time, like I do.
White people
And-
time.
And right. And then you'll be prepared for the pod. You'll be
Supper.
all done. You'll have
I
had
mean, you live in the suburbs now, James. You got to eat at like 6 o'clock.
That's right. Then you'll have time for
supper
dis-
now.
you'll have
All
time
right,
for
we need
I'm
to-
still on city time.
We need the HR department. We're gonna have a meeting.
Look, I've
Oh
already
shit! The diversity training class, I failed.
Diversity training.
had dessert. I've already had my after
Dessert,
thing
Jesus,
to eat.
dude.
Like after this is like I'm done. I'm all set for the day.
He's like, I got breakfast in 30 minutes.
Had my after dinner panini.
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right.
All right, everybody.
Listen, follow us on social media at Heroes Peak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
TikTok.
Like and share our videos on YouTube. Let everybody know. Hit the bell in the corner so you get notified as when we get new videos out.
Please leave a comment.
Tell us
Not
when
not
you
just
eat
Angel.
dinner. Tell us
Shout out
when
to
you eat
Angel, by
dinner.
the way. Angel.
All
All right, everybody.
Good night, everybody.